We're now listening to The Outsiders podcast.
Welcome to another episode of The Outsiders. Doc, my host, superstar, Doc Cheatham is with me. Doc, we got some heavy business to talk about today. Heavy.
It's an honor to be with you, as usual.
Well, we've got some heavy business to talk about. Before we get to that, we've got to give congrats. We start out the gate, right out the gate, fresh out the gate with a win. The Baltimore Ravens, my team, with a victory. It was kind of ugly. I mean, Lamar hasn't played in a while, and it was a little ugly, and we had some injuries. J.K. Dobbins is out for the season with a torn Achilles. I'm going to have to start calling him Brittle Man. What is going on with that? He's out for the season, and the Orioles are just a smidge getting there to clinching that division. So with what's going on with this, Doc, what do you think about J.K. Dobbins is out? Safety, I believe, is out. Our center, he's hurt. What's going on?
Well, you'll probably hear something from me that you may not hear from other people. I think the problem with the Ravens is training. I think our problem, we have injuries. How does one running back get hurt 3 years in a row? And I think some of the other injuries are credited to training. They're not training him either hard enough, or he's not being told what to do and not to do. I don't know whether you know, but I do sports predictions. Last year, I beat the ESPN sports predictors. I beat all of them last year. And unfortunately, I'm a Raven fan, but I don't predict us to win this Sunday.
We'll win. I believe we'll win. And the reason is this. The Ravens have a quintessential powerhouse defense. And defense wins those championships, so I believe that the Ravens will come on top. And the offense is going to take a little bit more time to gel. I strongly believe that. But I think the defense is strong enough to get us through. Well, I mean, we'll see. We'll see. The World's close to clinching the playoff. But I really do want to go to a World Series game again. It's been so long. It's been so long. So hopefully they'll do well and get that playoff berth clinched up and solid in. And Doc, what's going on with Matthew Henson Park? You told me some information. Things are going on. Things are looking up there.
Okay. First, so folks to know, yes, as a result of Matthew Henson, we created this park. But in order to be fair with two communities, our Matthew Henson, we have two communities that we serve, which one is Easterwood, and the other one is Sandtown. So we actually named our park even though it's for the Matthew Henson neighborhood, we actually named it Sandtown Eastwood, because half the community is in one part of Baltimore City and the other half is in another part. We will say this, we are the largest density community in West Baltimore. We are the largest. We have over 46,000 people in this neighborhood. This past Tuesday, thanks to Parks and People, thanks to Pete Flanagan and Sons, but more especially thanks to a group called, I gotta make sure I got it right, Sparks and Play. Sparks and Play agreed on Tuesday that they would donate to us $28,000 worth of outdoor athletic equipment for our community.
Wow.
When we built this park 7 years ago, we were short of equipment, and thanks to the great leadership that we had coming from Baltimore City, we put together a group that is now going to give us the athletic equipment we need.
Well, that is fantastic news, and the good news that a park is being supported, and things are looking up there. $28,000, $20,000 in support of Matthew Henson Park. Things are looking up. That's really good news. If only we could get that skate park done.
We need to recall Antonio Hayes, because I think for a black man to go against a skateboard park for a black community, I think it's one of the great injustices that a black man would perpetrate a lie and tell a lie that our community didn't want a skateboard park. I think it's a grave injustice. And yes, I'm calling names. Antonio Hayes told a blatant lie that our community did not want a skateboard park. And it's documented by a document printed by the city of Baltimore that our community identified the skateboard park as one of the 12 priorities of our community.
Well, we invited Antonio onto the show several months ago. He agreed to come on. I spoke with his assistant, well, we didn't speak, but we communicated, and at the last minute, she wanted to get the questions, because I guess he's not man enough to just go onto a show straight up. He's got to get the questions beforehand. So anyway, we're straight shooters here. No problem, assistant. So we got the questions to him, and he didn't, I guess the questions were a little bit too rough. I guess he couldn't handle it because he didn't come on. So backed out.
He found a way to lie his way out of it, that's what I think.
Yeah, he chicken out, Pumpkinhead, chicken out, backed out, because he can't answer the tough questions. And I'm going to segue into this. I wanted to put the audio together. I guess I'll do it next week. But speaking of interviews, but I heard an interview earlier today, and it was an interview on WBAL, C4 in Newman. And they brought the mayor on, as C4 calls him, Mr. Mayor. So they brought Brandon on, and everything is, huh?
You got it?
Yeah, I heard, I have it, I've got it, and didn't have time to cue it up because I had some things I had to take care of. Got back from a trip to Fort Lauderdale, Florida. My wife and I had our 4-year anniversary. So we went down to Fort Lauderdale, Florida for several days, got back, but I did get the audio of the interview, and instead of asking Slim Shady some pertinent questions, first of all, the Brooklyn massacre, mass shooting, why wasn't he there? Why wasn't he there at the hearing? He wasn't there at the first hearing. He wasn't there at the second hearing. I was at both hearings. And I sent Slim Shady a letter. I sent him an email. I invited him to come on the show. I told him because he wasn't at the first hearing and he wasn't at the second hearing that he was a coward. As a matter of fact, I put coward in bold print in italics, okay, to make it perfectly clear. Because you got all this going on and this guy doesn't show up and he's not there. I mean, no. I mean, outrageous. So other questions could have been asked. When did he know, or was he involved with the cleaning up of that area, with the inspection being done after the shooting? Did he make that call? Did he tell Mrs. Gonzalez, like he told a reporter, when a reporter asked him, okay, you know, what about the warnings? The warnings that happened prior to the shooting. And he said, I'll tell you, to tell you the truth, that I really don't care. So did he tell Mrs. Gonzalez that you don't really care? Did you tell her that when you met with her? I mean, I had several questions to ask this guy, and that interview was fumbled. They're talking about Waldorf, Maryland, and ghost guns, which is very important to ghost guns, and you want to get guns off the street. But we're talking about a particular issue and incident that happened with the police, Monsi, Safe Streets, the Housing Authority. Everybody messed up, and Worley is trying to push this GVRS program because he said it when he was put in as the acting commissioner at the press conference. I mean, I said a whole mouthful, Doc, but I think we would have did better in it.
The thing that I see, for the most part, that these elected officials are going on radio programs and they're dictating to the hosts of these radio shows what the subject matter is going to be. We don't need to be talking about after the fact. We need to be talking about what did y'all do or did you not do when you found out about it. You know, the biggest problem is what they did after. What did they do before the incident happened? And that's what I have some major problems with. We got these radio talk show hosts that they allow these elected officials to dictate to them what questions they're going to ask or not ask. And I'm saying the biggest problem is what happened before on 8 different city agencies. What did y'all not do that you should have done? That's the discussion. We don't want to know what happened after the fact. Why did you do something before it happened?
Exactly. Before it happened, people were making calls. Hundreds of people with guns and knives, and I know there were a lot more calls that were made than that they're telling the public. And I'm sure that...
I got a truck that's pulling up in front of me. Jesus Christ.
What's going on? Okay. Doc's on location. Okay. But all this...
because you switched the time from 2 to 3, and 3 o'clock is when everything gets busy around here.
I know. Always, this is a podcast. We do the recording, and I switched the times up. I am guilty. Guilty.
I got a daily truck, D-A-L-Y-S apostrophe S. It's a big dump truck. Usually late in the afternoon is when they come and drop off mulch and pick up stuff. So we're being challenged a little bit.
Well, that's okay. I did the mulch yesterday. I did the front of the house. I have to do the side of the house. Oh, I have to do the mulch. You know, you got fall coming up, so I want the house to look nice. The wife likes the outside of the house to look nice. I have to sweep my big, huge, monster, multi-level deck on top of that. And, you know, because a lot happened when we were in Florida with the yard and the wind and the rain. I heard about the weather up here. Wow. So I'm dealing with that. But this Banks report, the Banks report, folks, she is back. Kim Banks is back, and wow, is she on fire. The Outsiders are fully loaded now. And Doc, what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the Banks report. Actually, I have 2 for 1. I have a twofer. So Kim Banks, the Banks report on the Outsiders. Listen up, everybody, because Kim Banks is back.
Some people feel that Sheila Dixon deserves a second chance. Another bite of Baltimore. Not only was she the first black female president of the Baltimore City Council, but she was also our mayor from 2007 to 2010 until she was forced to resign. She received probation for the theft of gift cards reserved for the impoverished citizens of Baltimore. And some say, so what? It was just gift cards. No, not really. It is only one example of how a black woman in a position of power to lift up her people put her foot on our necks instead and felt no shame. I'm all about sister power. I'm a strong advocate for a woman's rise, but she also has to reach down to lift up or reach back to pull forward. Baltimore has not had great success with its black female leaders. Marilyn Bentley, for instance, the clerk of the court before this young Conaway. She breathed fire on everything and everyone that she could while she was in office. She burned the house down and left a trail of ashes. Mayor Stephanie Rawlins Blake and Catherine Pugh, they live their own scandals. And yet, I believe many of us remain hopeful that a black woman will take office, hold office, and run it like a woman king. As I watched Sheila Dixon make her announcement that she will be running for mayor in 2024, I watched that she was surrounded by faithful supporters, and all hope immediately was lost with the view of Xavier Washington and his mommy, Belinda Conaway, the Register of Wills for Baltimore City, both poised behind Sheila Dixon. It suggests Dixon's alignment with the Conaways in a similar fashion to what it was when Frank Conaway Sr. was clerk of the court and Sheila Dixon was president of the city council. Rumors have circulated for years about the misappropriation of funds between the clerk's office and the mayor's office during Frank Conaway Sr.'s reign and onward. Xavier Washington, who campaigned under his grandfather's last name, not only committed fraud, but runs an office compromised by various sexual harassment claims. It was good, however, to see young Conaway standing beside his mommy, making an attempt at looking credible, rather than crouching beneath her skirt. But he has proven himself to be dishonest, having not fulfilled one campaign promise in 9 months. This is the wagon to which Sheila Dixon has hitched her horses. Could this reveal a triptych of grifters, scheming gypsies who have been in cahoots for over a decade? Xavier was probably a preteen then. Just think of it. They trained him well. Trained him early. Pull back that wig, Baltimore. When that wagon pulls up, looking to plant those weeds, let me ask you, will you be ready to man that post?
Wow. Okay. That's quite a start. Doc, are you there? Okay, I'm going to take this. What you heard was the Banks report, and that was a first in a series of Kim Banks, former co-host, The Outsiders, but she's back in the saddle again, and I love what I heard. As a matter of fact, I loved it so much, I think I'm going to play another one, and this is the second part of the Banks report. Hear it up.
The political arena is a breeding ground for those with little to no self-esteem, with internal trauma that is either not addressed or has not been recognized. It is a perfect arena for those seeking to recreate themselves or be placed in the spotlight, to develop a false sense of power. The few politicians who follow through on campaign promises are those who are grounded, who come to the table ready to serve as well as devour. These are people who embrace power outside of themselves and use it for the good of others. They have purpose and a selfless agenda. They are transparent in their intentions and in who they are as people. It is no surprise that Baltimore City is among the most corrupted when our leaders bring very little to the table in the form of integrity, trustworthiness, authenticity, competency, and valuable solutions to the city's problems. It feels like we, the citizens, are between a rock and a hard place with no relief in sight. And if this is the case, we need to start chiseling at some rocks, folks. And that starts at home. It starts with us as individuals. This is the time, right now, to revolutionize the way we think. Once we redirect our thoughts, better feelings about ourselves and where we live will come. Positive, effective action is sure to follow. It is not in the oppressor's best interest for us to stop abusing substances, our women, and our children. The powers that be want us clogged up with the carbs, drugs, salt, sugar, and alcohol so that we can't think clearly. Won't observe what is happening in our community. We should be outraged at our food deserts, decrepit schools, non-existent recreational centers, and the lack of mental health treatment. Crime will decrease in our communities when we recognize our youth and older adults. The alpha and omega of our community, our prized human capital. Once we respect and address just their basic needs, crime will go down. That's just one of the benefits. There needs to be a recall on Baltimore leadership. They need to be replaced with whole people. And when I say whole people, I mean whole mind, body, and soul. People who seek to work, bring change, and elevate the city. We at the Outsiders seek to do more than power wash the filth and grime of our corrupted politicians. We seek to change the landscape of Baltimore. We can't do it alone. Even with our media and government official partners, we need you, Baltimore. In the words of Camouflage, author of The Wings of My Butterfly Beauty, Love Clipped My Wings, and Gods and Masses. Let me say, stop making excuses. Stop being a slave with a slave mentality. Stop shuffling your feet and walk. Stop chewing up your words and spitting out ebonics. Talk. Say what you mean and mean what you say. This is Kim Banks, Life Purpose and Empowerment Coach at the Revolution Coaching Firm and as an outsider. We have no one to blame but ourselves when we invite buffoonery to the table and expect to eat anything other than shenanigans. Love yourself and be more proactive. If being an outsider puts you on the side of justice and integrity, you already have the power.
Powerful, powerful words from Kim Banks, the Banks Report. Kim is on fire, and I have a feeling that these reports that we're going to be getting from Kim Banks, these reports are going to be even more powerful than today, because what we heard, folks, you leaders out there, you elected officials out there, you people who run for office and run your mouth about what you're going to do and how much better you're going to make things, and how we can't make it without you, or we got to have you in office, because without you in office, oh no, things are just going to be so bad if we don't have you. Really? I know who we do need to get rid of. We definitely need to get rid of. As a matter of fact, if it was the corporate world and he was working in the corporate world, they would have fired Brandon. They would have fired him 6 months in. Doc, I just wanted to check on you. Are you there?
I'm here.
Okay, Doc's back, y'all. But Kim had some powerful words, and the corruption that she's talking about, I'm going to segue. Speaking of corruption, I got across my desk a photo, a very troubling photograph. In this photograph, there is a woman who was announcing her run for mayor again. I'm talking about Sheila Dixon. Behind Sheila Dixon, in this photo that I received, was a 25-year-old Xavier Washington, Alexander, Conaway, Jackson, Smith, or whatever name you want to call yourself, and his mother, Belinda Conaway. Why in all that is holy would Sheila Dixon, in announcing her candidacy for Mayor of Baltimore City, have right next to her, behind her, the Conaways? Why? Now, a friend of mine who saw the picture as well, somebody who is fairly well known, said to me, Sean, this is Sheila scraping the bottom of the barrel. This makes no political sense at all. This is one of the stupidest things I've been a campaign advisor on several campaigns. There is no way on God's green earth, if the Conaways came up, I would have advised Sheila, anybody else who I was advising, to have the Conaways anywhere near them. Period. First of all, because of the history. Now things look, let's look at it. Frank, I knew Frank. I would go to the clerk's office, myself and Desiree Dodson.
You talking about Frank Sr., right?
Frank Sr., the clerk's office. Frank Sr., who was the clerk of the court. Thanks for clearing that up for me, Doc, because people might think otherwise. But yeah, Frank Sr. And I would go and meet with him. And by the way, Xavier, the door was wide open. And we would go to speak with Frank. Oh yeah, and by the way, Belinda, Desiree said hi. So we would go speak with Frank. And it was an open door policy. And nobody's perfect. Frank had his little idiosyncrasies, everybody does. But as far as just related to him, he was wide open. The guy would talk to you straight up. They didn't have something on the wall or the door. We had to ring in and the doors shut closed with this kid's in there now. And we didn't have all kinds of shenanigans going on. And let me point them out. Let me point them out. Doc, I'm just going to be another minute because I want to hear your opinion. But let me point, and the people definitely want to hear your opinion. Now let me point this out. I spoke with Bishop Barry Chapman. Bishop Barry Chapman, he worked for the civil rights of people as a negotiator with the union, etc., whatever. And he stopped doing it because he basically retired from it. He's got a business he's running. He stopped doing it. But he said, and this is what he told me, he got so many calls from people because of this kid that's in there now that the people, they're scared to death. He's got so many calls. The people are in tears of what's going on. And I know of other things that are going on, in tears, because of what's going on under Xavier Washington. I changed my name to Conaway so people can get suckered into voting into me. So this situation with Sheila hooking up with the Conaway, and Belinda, we know her history. I know Nick Mosby sure does. Doc, what do you think with Sheila doing a photo op and picture and campaign, introducing her campaign with the Conaways behind her, by her side?
When I say politics in any area and any field makes strange bedfellows, so I don't second guess anyone what they will say and do when it comes to politics. You know, we talked about Antonio and him lying. Well, I remember very well Belinda Conaway also said that the dirt that they were taking out of the Allen Park and putting in the Rosemont neighborhood, that it was not coming from across the street from where she lives. And that was a blatant lie. It was a blatant lie. The park is right across the street from her, and she was denying that the dirt that they put in the Rosemont neighborhood came from Allen Park. But now today, we have elected officials, the former mayor, Jack Young, the former controller, Joan Pratt, the council person, Leon Pickett, all said, no, Doc is 100% correct. We should not have taken the contaminated dirt out of Allen Park and put it in the Rosemont neighborhood.
So the dirt was, I mean, I know you spoke about this before. It was contaminated?
Contaminated. And that's coming from the people who live in the Allen area. They're the ones that said it was contaminated. Our only problem was, why are you taking dirt out of a middle-class black neighborhood and transferring that dirt into a poor black neighborhood?
That is disgraceful. And when did this happen?
This happened just on COVID. We had for 2 months, every day, Monday through Sunday, we were averaging 35 and 40 dump trucks a day. And, you know, this shows, you know, elected officials would do anything to get support. So I don't second guess any of these elected officials and how they sell their soul to the devil, because we've seen it personally with our neighborhood, how black neighborhoods don't get treated right.
Well, that's a disgrace. And that should be, has there been a call for, I mean, because you're talking about the EPA now, you're talking about people's health. Has there been a call for an investigation?
Well, not only that, the Allen folks that are dealing with the bike issue, I had 3 of them come. I had Linda, I had Mary, and I had Lawrence. And all 3 of them come because they were in denial that it was happening until they saw it themselves. It looked like Mount Fuji's summer in Japan. Wow. That's how big the dirt was. But see, there's a lot of things going on in poor neighborhoods
So Linda Batts and Mary Hughes and Lawrence Bell went and saw this mound, because you did send me a picture of this huge mound of dirt that's contaminated.
Three mounds.
That's correct, yes.
We sent it on our 5,000 Facebook friends.
That is disgraceful. That needs to be investigated thoroughly to see who was involved in getting and putting that contaminated dirt in that area. That definitely needs to be looked at. And as a matter of fact, I'm speaking of looking at things, I went to Sheila Dixon's Facebook page, because a friend of mine advised me, Sean. She advised me. She said, you should go to Sheila Dixon's Facebook page. I figured, okay, you know, you're running for office. You're going to have a Facebook page, etc. And I went on it last night, Doc, and on the Facebook page was nothing but video of her and some people standing behind her, including Xavier Washington Conaway and his mother, and video about her running for office, and pictures and video, and pink. I thought I was a Pepto-Bismol that exploded. A big giant bottle of Pepto-Bismol exploded all over the place. Pink everywhere. And I'm on it now, and I went to the video, Facebook page, I should say. Doc, did you know that all those pictures and videos with Xavier Conaway, Washington, Alexander, Jackson Smith, and his mommy, you know they're gone now from Sheila's Facebook page? They're gone. She took them off. I wonder why. Why did Sheila Dixon clear her Facebook page? Hey, and Doc, you know what's odd here? She's got our show on her Facebook page. Did you know that?
No.
Oh yeah. Now I'm scrolling down. I didn't see that last night. I'm not saying it wasn't there, but I didn't see The Outsiders, our shows, on Sheila Dixon's Facebook page. But they're there, but the Conaways are gone. Oh, that's odd. That's odd, because this relationship with Sheila Dixon and the Conaways goes back to Frank, because he was the clerk of the court in 1998, and she was the president of Baltimore City Council from 1999 to 2007, I believe, and she became mayor, left in 2010. So, I don't know, because I was told that by some higher ups, I was told that the relationship between the clerk of the court and the mayor, that's an interesting relationship, because the clerk can do favors for the mayor. For example, let's say the mayor was being sued in a lawsuit filed at the circuit court. Guess who could hold the paperwork up? The clerk of the court. They could fudge things, maybe mess the numbers up. As a matter of fact, Desmond Stinney, who's suing the mayor, he knows all about that. See, the relationship with the clerk, maybe, for instance, let's say the clerk could waive fees for the mayor. Is that why she's connecting with Xavier? I'm just asking a question. Maybe there could be fees that could be charged. That shouldn't be. Who knows? Things happen. I'm just saying it's odd that you would run for office and have Xavier Conaway, a 25-year-old who knows nothing. I guess she didn't vet what's going on at the circuit court. I guess she didn't look into that before you do that. Now, this is a decision that you're making, and having a press conference and having videos done and all this other sort of thing, and you don't vet the people standing right behind you, and then you talk about, I know what I'm doing. No. And then you say, I only did one thing wrong, y'all. Look here, y'all. I only did the one thing wrong, the gift cards. And Kim Banks spoke about that in her bank's report. I only did one thing. It was just a gift card. Y'all just go ahead and forgive me. Oh, really, Sheila? Oh, really? Hey, let me ask you a question, Sheila Dixon. Are you saying that your time in office, including the president of the Baltimore City Council, you have to get elected for that, and the mayor, you're saying that other than the gift card scam, that you are free and clear and haven't had any malfeasance happening during your time in office as the president of the Baltimore City Council and the mayor? Is that what you're saying? There's nothing else there? Really? Really? That's interesting. That's very interesting. I'm going to play something here, and this is Sheila Dixon, and she's interacting with Xavier Washington Conaway Jackson Smith on their show Political Regulators, and I'm going to go ahead and let it rip. Okay, cue, cut to.
Is to reach out and work with the current clerk to make sure we can get the transition moving as quickly as possible to understand what we're stepping into, because one of the things I want to make sure is done is to make sure that the employees that are working there know that they're going to have a clerk in there who's going to be a partner to them. That they
No, that's a lie. A lie. Let's go on.
Understand that help is on the way, that they're going to have some.
No, there's no help. They're being terrorized from what I'm hearing from Bishop Barry Chapman.
Who's going to really make sure that they are taken care of, that the vacancy.
No, let's keep going.
That are causing a staffing crisis, that's no better.
The crisis is that a bunch of people in Baltimore City voted for a 25-year-old who knows jack squat because they saw a name and then figured, oh, I'll just go ahead and vote for this guy. As a matter of fact, one lady who came out, this is what I was told, someone told me, one of the ladies who came out after voting, and she was told, after she mentioned who she voted for, she said, yeah, I voted for Conway. And said, did you? And someone told her, asked her, did you know that he's 25 years old? She didn't know it. She just voted off of the name. The woman's face just dropped because she was in shock, because she voted to put a 25-year-old who knows nothing into an office so important. I'll continue.
A better way to put it than a crisis is going to be addressed and is a high priority, because nothing else can be fixed unless we address the staffing shortages, where we have at least 50 positions unfilled, including the deputy clerk and the assistant deputy clerk positions unfilled, and we need to make sure.
Unfilled? What is this, a Forrest Gump thing going? I'm going to move ahead, because Sheila, you've got to hear how she is interacting with this guy, this kid. And go ahead, cut 3.
May not always agree on the urgency, what needs to be prioritized in the past.
Hey guys, you know your grandfather got mad with me because one of my swear-ins, the mayor can choose whomever, and I forgot who I chose, but oh, that's right, because he ran against me. I forgot who.
Oh yeah, that's right, because he ran against me. Your granddaddy ran against me. He chuckles.
I sure was busting him. He was mad. I was mad.
That's his duty. He took that seriously.
Yeah, I think he was
but the mayor, you can choose other people to swear you in.
Oh no, I think we have.
And this goes on and on and on and on with the chuckles and the giggling and the laughing, because tea. And I'm going to cut 4. Cut 4.
Oh, this is going to be a fun dinner tonight, okay?
Straight from the restroom, pal. Don't get overly eager, young buck.
We'll see.
Call somebody back. I didn't have my assistant call them, and then I had to transfer to me. I was like, just give me the phone. I call it myself, And of course, people would say, when I would call them, and I said, this is Mayor Dixon or Sheila Dixon. It's like, yeah, sure. Okay. This is not Sheila Dixon. This is her assistant. I was like, it's me. You know, but
It's me, only me. Yes. So this love fest that's going on, I don't know. I'm going to Outsiders. I'm going to dig and find out, you know, I'm going to do some digging because I just, something smells. Something stinks. Something smells rotten in Denmark. So, Doc, we're going to move on. Are you still there? You with your guy? Okay, we're going to move on. The Brooklyn hearing, which took place, I was there, and it was, it got quite emotional at the end. Mrs. Gonzalez, what she had to say, what happened that night that changed her life, the life of her family, and changed her life. And I just want those people to know, look, this is some serious business. This is more than numbers. This is about people, people's lives being affected. 2 young people killed, 28 other people shot, and then you have the BPD, Monsi, and the Housing Authority. What do? They do an investigation of themselves. They investigate themselves. What do you think they're going to say? What do you think is going to happen if you investigate yourself? I mean, don't be ridiculous. Oh, well, we fumbled the ball, we messed up. Oh, well, that's it, we messed up. I'm going to play what Mrs. Gonzalez had to say. And again, I was there. I wasn't sitting, I'm not sitting in some room or some cozy, a studio, and hey, I'm going to play this clip, and what happened was horrific. No. I went there because I wanted to be there at the hearing. I'm not sitting in some ivory tower or somewhere just looking at this stuff. Oh, I can't go, I can't be there. People, they won't let me go. Oh, I don't want to go, I can't do that. No, I actually was there. And I'm going to go ahead and play that clip.
If you could press the button on the right-hand side, and that'll activate the microphone. You're welcome to speak.
Gonzalez at the mic, coming up to the mic.
Hello, everyone. I want to say thank you for inviting me and, allowing me to be here. This is not easy. It's not easy. I get so much stomach upset just thinking and talking about it. It's been my life for the last 2.5 months. I know you said we're guests of honor. This is no honor. I appreciate the sentiment, but there's a million things I'd rather do than be here and talk about this. So we all know what happened, the Brooklyn Days shooting. This is a phrase that will repeat in my head rent-free for the rest of my life. And I just turned 40 in June. I had no idea the next 40 years of my life would look really, really different. I had no idea. So, Brooklyn Day happens. I had no idea what this event is. My daughter, Aaliyah, she's been all over the news, and every time I see her pretty face on the TV, I'm like, she's not supposed to be there. Aaliyah has been an AD student her entire life. I've always gotten a report card that says, congratulations, you're on the honor roll. Every single time, there's not one time I didn't see that on her report card. Aaliyah was so respectful. She was very age appropriate, and I hope you all know what that means. She wasn't out there twerking and doing all the things that we see. Aaliyah had a curfew her entire life. Not until she turned 18 in April. April 12th is her birthday. But until she graduated high school, she had a curfew at 11. She graduated high school 3 weeks prior to the shooting. 3 weeks Earlier, we watched our baby. My husband can't be in here. He's so anxious right now. We watched her walk across the stage at Maryland Live and receive her high school diploma, something she worked very hard for, and something that we were so proud to see. At the graduation party, all the family came out. I made her put on her cap and gown for the people who couldn't make the graduation, just so we could have pictures of her, because we were so proud. Aaliyah would have never been out that late. But here's the thing, she earned it. She did everything her father and I ever asked her for, and then some. She wanted to celebrate her accomplishments. She wanted to go out and kick off the summer and have fun. Those kids wanted to have fun. Again, I had no idea about this block party, but I will tell you what a mother experienced that night. We got a call, Aaliyah's been shot. Alex, they're lying. Can't be Aaliyah, she was just here. As a matter of fact, before she left, I'll rewind a little bit. Aaliyah came in the house and I heard her keys, so I met her in the hallway. I was sitting on my bed. And I met her in the hallway and she just tilted her head to look at me. She said, "What's wrong, Mom?" And I said, "Nothing, baby. I'm just happy to see you." Because I'm always happy to see her. So she gave me a hug. We hugged each other. And I know now that was the spirit telling me, go to her. Go to her. Later that night, she says, "Mom, I'm getting ready to leave. I love you, and I'll see you later." I don't think this is what she meant when I saw her later that night. Aaliyah's been shot. No, she hasn't. Alex, not Aaliyah. Not Aaliyah. They're lying. There's somebody else. But they are calling from her phone. I get on the scene. There's police tape. There's so many ambulances out there. But they tell my husband and I that everyone's going to Harbor Hospital. We get in my car. We run to Harbor Hospital as fast as we possibly could get there, and there was so many people there, so many kids. It was so chaotic. And my husband's at the desk, the receptionist, and he says, "Aaliyah Gonzalez, she has to be here." And he says, "Sir, she's not here." I said, "Listen, it's a lot of people, maybe you haven't registered her, but they told me she would be here, so she has to be here." She's not there. My husband calls Aaliyah's phone back, and they say, "Sir, your daughter is still here at 807 Gretna Court. She's dead. She's still lying here on the ground." So we run back over from Harbor Hospital to 807 Gretna Court, and at this time, I'm not stopping for nobody. I'm pushing through people. I'm pushing through police officers. I've got to get to her. I've got to get to her. They told me she's here. And if I can, I would like to play a video from that night. I'm not sure if you can see, but you can certainly hear what I've experienced that night. That video, I hated that video. It got to my son before I could even call him. It was already on the internet. And I hated every part of that video. It shows my daughter laying on the stairs with a white sheet over her, and me knowing that was her because she would have called me a long time ago. She called me. She texted me 50,000 times a day. I didn't hear from her. I know that's her. And most of you, I don't know, I know Some of you were on the scene with me. And see, what you don't know, I said, thank you very much. What you don't know is what grief does, because I can hear what you're saying, but I don't understand what you're saying. My daughter was just with me hours ago, and she's not dead. She's waiting for me to help her. She doesn't know you just let me get to her. See, that's what grief does. It makes you play these things that you know are not true or not reasonable. But she's waiting for me, so move, please, let me get to her. I got on the scene, the police told me, we just found out about it today. Immediately I said, Alice, they're lying. Someone told us that we just found out about the Brooklyn Day block party today. I stayed on the scene. My husband and I could not leave. And I stayed there and I wondered why was she laying there so long on the stairs. Her back is on concrete. Would you please move her? It must hurt her to lay like that. That's not comfortable for her. And again, I know what I see. I'm a logical person, but a mother does not understand that. So now wait for the coroner to get there. And you want to put her in a bag. Why would you put my beautiful baby in a bag? She can't breathe in there. Knowing that there were calls, endless calls for help, and no one showed up. Knowing that Foxtrot, I now know the name, a helicopter moves hundreds of feet in the air, will tell you as they look down from hundreds of feet in the air that everything looks normal. What's your normal? I challenge you, what is your normal? Let them take each other out. Is that your normal? That's what happened. I can never, ever, ever have the only thing that I want back. I never thought in a million years I'd have to walk without her. I go on a lot of walks. Sometimes I have to hug myself to imagine her hugging me back. Sometimes I have to reach my hand out to imagine I'm holding her hand while I'm walking. This is my life. And people did not care enough to check on them, to check on her. It's not right. So I'm forced to adjust and I'm forced to live with this for the rest of my life. I've returned back to work just last week and it's been a challenge. Everything is a challenge. My son, he misses her. People don't know my girls are a year apart. When I was 17, Aaliyah's 18, they shared a room their entire life. You tell your sister. Aaliyah played the big sister very well. Mickey played the little sister very well. She's used to hiding under the cover of her sister. She is being forced now to be alone. To be alone, and it's so hard for her. You guys don't know. I have to make sure Greek counseling is in place for them at school. She walks around and she feels like everybody's staring at her name. No, she can't have a regular life. This is her senior year of high school. This did not have to happen. This didn't have to happen if there were 1 or 2 or 3 patrol cars out there. I'm sorry, guys. As I said, this is my life. I thank you for letting me speak today.
Mrs. Gonzalez had nothing to be sorry about. It's one thing to hear this over the radio or TV or internet or however you're listening to something like this pain and suffering of a mother who's lost her child. It's another thing to hear this when it actually happened. To hear her in real time while you're right there after about an hour and a half or so earlier, you got on the elevator with Mrs. Gonzalez and her family, which is what I did. And you get on the elevator and you go up to the 4th floor in City Hall, and then you walk in to this hearing. We walked in together. They went and sat up in their section. I went to the press area and sat down, not knowing what you were going to hear later. All because they just didn't want to go. And frankly, all because a mayor, a police commissioner, acting commissioner, and a mayor who when asked about the warning, the calls to protect those children, to protect those kids, about the calls and the warnings, when he was asked about it, this is what he said.
The truth is that I don't really care.
Yeah. Because the truth, that's the truth. The truth is...
The truth is that I don't really care.
That's the mayor of Baltimore City telling you the truth about the calls that went out, about the fact that the police did not show up, about the fact that there were warnings. Calls, many calls coming in, that there were hundreds of individuals with guns and knives. And what does he say? He doesn't really care. And that's the truth about what happened prior to the shootings. I'm gonna go to a section of this press conference, and because I have to digress. Doc, what do you think? Doc, are you there? I'll go ahead and continue. Z. Cohen, Councilman Z. Cohen, I'm going to give him credit because he asked some questions, and I'm glad he went to where he went. And this is before Mr. Gonzalez testified, because after she not testified, but told what happened, I should say. But after, it was a 5-minute recess, they came back, and Councilman Mark Conway, the chair, called for it to continue, that meeting to continue at another time, another date. And I was fine with that. I thought that was a good idea. But prior to that, Acting Commissioner Worley was asked some questions by Councilman Z. Cohen, and I want to go over that now. Cut 5.
Me specifically. Sorry. Councilman Cohen. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Eric, for your service to our city. And thank you, Commissioner, and all the agency folks that are here. Commissioner, I do appreciate you really, I think, trying to be out front and take ownership over what was a catastrophic failure within the department. However, one area that I fell short within this report was around the crime scene investigation. there's been reporting from the Banner and others that before evidence markers were placed, before forensic evidence can be collected, that the scene was cleaned, which intuitively seems out of order, knowing that we have a challenge when it comes to getting witnesses to come forward, and that often we need to rely on forensic evidence, on the what people touched that would be there. I think the report was pretty brief and kind of pushed back against the idea that the crime scene was not properly handled, but in reading it, in hearing about how that scene was handled, I'm concerned that some of the evidence that could have been available is not, because of how the scene was handled in the aftermath. So could you speak directly to the crime scene and how the forensics team, how officers handled it in the aftermath of the most catastrophic mass shooting in our city's history?
Yeah, what happened is the crime scene was huge, as you're aware. Our crime lab was there all night and part of the day. When everyone...
No, let's get this straight, Rich. You swept the crime scene that morning. The shooting that took place 2 o'clock in the morning, and you swept the crime scene in the morning. You didn't sweep the crime scene later in the afternoon, the evening, or the following morning. You cleaned the crime scene that morning. Continue.
Decided that they had collected as much evidence as they had seen and they had.
They collected as much evidence that they had seen and had the same morning.
Also knew that there was probably some evidence that was buried under some of the debris because it looked...
Let me get this straight. Let me get this straight. That there was some evidence that was buried. Buried? How high was the trash piled up in that huge area? I mean, what are you talking about buried?
It looked like, I mean, you saw the photos of it, there was debris everywhere. So what they did is they had some people come and manually move some of the trash to see if there was other...
You had some people. Let me get this straight. This guy's been with the police department, and Colonel Melvin Russell vouched for the guy being a straight up guy and all that kind of stuff. 25 years with the police department, and you say, let me get this straight, some people came. Some people. What people, Richard? What people are you talking about? You have investigators, forensic investigators, specialists that arrive. From the information I received, there should have been 4 or 5 of them. Did they have their own team of people? Because you did not say BPD. You said some people.
Other issues or other data or other casings or anything that we thought was evidentiary value. And then we did find some more stuff once we started moving the trash around.
So you did find some more stuff when you started moving the trash around. He wasn't talking about moving trash around to collect evidence. He was talking about cleaning the area, wiping it clean. So when you moved the trash around, what trash did you move around? What did you do with the trash that was moved? Wasn't the trash itself evidence? But you cleaned the area. So did you bag the trash that you picked up? Did you bag the trash as evidence and then procure the trash in a location? Or did you throw it away? As a matter of fact, that's a good question. Where's the trash, Richard, that your forensic team and people came in and wiped and cleaned? Where's that trash? Because that trash itself is evidence.
And we came back and we collected those things, but the whole time that it was being done, it was there.
Okay, so you collected them. So where are they now? Where are they now?
Homicide detectives were on the scene, and our crime lab came back to collect any other data. But when we decided to...
Okay, your crime lab... See, I'm going to dissect this. I'm dissecting what he said. He said his crime lab came back. That means, see, when you come back, that means you were there already. So the crime lab was there, and then what? They took the trash somewhere, or the evidence, to BPD and collected it, and then, or gave it up to BPD or some location, and then they came back to do more forensic work. Is that what it was? Because I'm not really clear on what you're saying.
To move the trash around, all the data.
What are you talking about, moving the trash around? What is that? Okay, either you picked the trash up, you bagged it as evidence so that you could move the trash that's evidence to go over shell casings and things that are obvious, and you bagged it and you looked at it later. So what do you mean you moved it? You just moved it from one place to another, or did you collect it?
All the evidence that we had, that we saw, we had collected over hundreds of casings, and that's how this case is being, that's how we...
All the evidence you had, you collected. I mean, I gotta go back to this because this sounds like some mumbo jumbo double talk.
Along the way, and doing that on a reoccurring basis to ensure that
people touched that would be there.
Our homes, but that was also
around, and we came back and we collected those things. But the whole time that it was being done, it was our homicide detectives were on the scene, and our crime lab came back to collect any other data. But when we decided to move the trash around, all the data, all the evidence that we had, that we saw, we had collected over 100.
Well, let me get this straight. So when you decided to move all, you had all the evidence when you decided to clean the area, because you're using the terminology, move the trash, as another phrase for cleaning the area. So what you're saying is that you were moving the trash or cleaning the area, but you had already collected all the data prior to cleaning the area? I mean, that's a contradiction. It sounds to me, now correct me if I'm wrong, because this questioning needs to be more detailed. And Z. Cohen, he did bring it up, but there needs to be more follow-up on that, Councilman Cohen, with the questioning, because his answers raise more questions for me. More questions. And we're going to be dissecting the 173-page aftermath report, after disaster report. That's what I'm going to call it. So I got some eyes, and we're going to be dissecting it. It's going to be a few weeks, and we're looking at some things, and we're going to have a report on a report. So let me continue with this testimony by Acting Commissioner, Police Commissioner Richard Worley.
Hundreds of casings, and that's how this case is being, that's how we've got the individuals that we've made arrests, is from ballistics evidence and different types of evidence. So the crime scene is a little vague because we're still investigating and we'll continue.
How is the crime scene vague? That, you've got forensic experts, you have crime scene experts, you got all these experts, but the crime scene is vague? This is the person who's up to head the police department for one of the most criminally active, violent cities in the country. And the crime rate, oh, Brandon, by the way, another question which you would have had on the show if you would have came on my show instead of that cupcake interview you had today. Another question would have been, with the evidence and the crime scene, questions would have been along those lines.
And you investigate this until we find every single person. But the report that we cleaned it up is correct. The report that we cleaned it up and missed evidence is incorrect. I don't know where.
Okay, so let me get this straight. You cleaned it up, and the report that you missed evidence is incorrect, even though you cleaned up a mass shooting, a huge area where a mass shooting took place where 2 young people were murdered, that you did it the same morning that the shooting took place, and you're going to sit there, and this is the guy who you want to put in as the police commissioner of Baltimore City, the worst run city in the country, the dirtiest city in the country on top of that, and this is the only guy that you put up to be the police commissioner of Baltimore City.
I don't know where they got the data. I mean, I don't know where they got the information for the report, but I can assure you that they looked at every piece of evidence they had before we started moving any trash around. They had collected it.
Yeah, one thing I want to add is that the crime scene, having been at the crime scene in the early hours of the mass shooting, the crime scene is also the site.
This is the, I guess, the Mayor Jr., Faith Leach? I guess she's the Mayor Jr.
Of individuals' homes. And so that was also really important for us, is that we had to ensure proper ingress and egress of the residents of...
Okay, ingress and regress, degress and igress. I digress. Okay, you said you're playing with words. Okay, Faith. Okay, you got a little education. So what she's saying is basically, you want people to be able to get back to their home. And of course that's important, but you got the biggest mass shooting in history of the city. So there's going to be some inconvenience for a few days, not just that morning.
It's a Brooklyn homes, and of course.
And I think what Faith Leach is saying is Bravo Sierra. She's completely full of it.
We attended or walked with residents to make sure that they could get in and out of their homes, but that was also a consideration for the department.
Oh, so that was the consideration. It's only been a few hours, and they were so worried about people getting back to their homes. It had only been a few hours after the biggest mass shooting in the history of the city, and so, you know what, we're really worried about people getting back to their homes. Just a few hours. Biggest mass shooting. Okay, not buying it, had enough of that. And here's the thing, folks. Richard Worley, he said that he was going to be upholding GVRS. That's his thing. Not police procedure, not when people are calling for help. No. If it goes against Monty Safe Streets with GVRS, no. That's number one. And I'm going to finish this show with the words of Richard Worley in regards to who he follows and what procedures he follows that are more important than people's lives.
I agree with the commissioner. We just continue what we're doing. We're having success this year. The mayor has already given you the homicide and non-fatal shooting numbers. Robberies are pretty close to down. I didn't see the numbers today. If they're hovered right around even. So we're on the right path and continue to build a group violence reduction strategy. That's the
and continue to build the group violence reduction strategy. I'm going to end the show now. The Outsiders, the first edition of the Banks Report. Very well done, Kim. Doc, I know he was busy taking care of business on location. So if you're still there, Doc, okay. Doc's still busy taking care of business on location, but I want to thank everyone for listening to the Outsiders podcast and a YouTube audience as well. If you want change, folks, you need to speak out. You need to call your congressman, Kwasi Mfume. Where are you, Kwasi Mfume? Where are you, congressman? There should be a congressional investigation into this mass shooting. And you've been quiet, silent. Shame! Shame on you. Everyone, thank you for listening to the Outsiders podcast. I'm Sean Sims, your host. Take care. Enjoy your weekend that's coming up. And stay safe. Take care.
You are now listening to The Outsiders Podcast.